2 years after the humans withdrew from the Galactic Council, Kim Tae-ho stood in a place he had never expected to see again. The Great Crystal Hall was different now. The walls were still the same, but everything else had changed. Where once there had been sections for 800 species, now there were sections for over 1,000. The hall was bigger, brighter, and full of hope. Kim Tae-ho was no longer just an ambassador. He was the first human chancellor of the reformed Galactic Assembly. The old council was gone. In its place was something new. The assembly recognizes Chancellor Kim Tae-ho, announced the speaker, a young Rigelian named Pulliver. The Rigelians had been one of the first species to join the human commonwealth after their world nearly starved. Kim Tae-ho walked to the center of the hall, but this was not the same platform where he had been insulted 2 years ago. This platform was at ground level, the same height as all the other representatives. No one was higher than anyone else. "Thank you," Kim Tae-ho said. "Before we begin, today's session I would like to welcome our newest members." He gestured to a section of the hall where new species sat. These were worlds that had just joined the Commonwealth in the past month. "Welcome to the Assembly," Kim Tae-ho said. "Your voices are as important as any other voice here." In the audience, former Chancellor Zixtal watched quietly. He was no longer Chancellor of anything. The Vorthak Empire had joined the Commonwealth 6 months ago, tired of being hungry and isolated. Zixtal was now just a regional representative, one voice among many. He was not angry about it anymore. He was grateful. Admiral Park Soo-jin, now Supreme Commander of Commonwealth Defense Forces, was visiting the planet Haven's Rest. This was the mixed colony that had sent the desperate message a year ago, begging for help with their sick children. Children were healthy now. The whole colony was thriving. Human engineers had repaired their medical equipment and improved their infrastructure. But more importantly, they had trained local people to maintain everything themselves. "Thank you," said colony leader Mervyn, a Vorthak who had lived on Haven's Rest for 20 years. "Our children have a future now." Park Soo-jin smiled. "They always had a future. They just needed the tools to build it." She looked around the colony. Humans, Vorthaks, and Rigelians worked together in the fields and factories. Children of different species played together in the streets. It was what the galaxy could be. "Commander," said her aide, Colonel Baek Hyun-woo, "we have a message from Earth. The Assembly has approved funding for the new exploration program." Park Soo-jin nodded. The Commonwealth was not content to just fix the old galaxy. They were exploring beyond it, finding new worlds and new species. Every month they discovered civilizations that had never heard of the old council, and every one of them was invited to join as equals. On the planet Zerion, Trademaster Veltar was loading rare minerals onto a new cargo ship. The ship was not human-built, but it used human technology. More importantly, it was operated by a mixed crew of Andromedans and humans working together. "How much are we shipping this month?" asked his assistant, Piptal. 3 times more than we ever did under the council," Veltar said happily. "The Commonwealth has opened new trade routes we never knew existed. The mining operation was more successful than ever. But the biggest change was not in the amount of minerals they mined. It was in how they were treated. Under the old council, the Andromedans had been seen as useful but unimportant. They mined minerals that other species used to build great things. Now Andromedan engineers worked alongside humans to design new ships and stations. They were partners, not just suppliers. "Master Veltar," Piptal said, "do you ever miss the old days?" Veltar laughed. "Miss being poor and ignored? Miss watching my people work like slaves for the benefit of others? No, Piptal, I do not miss the old days at all." Dr. Zinara was working in her laboratory again, but it was not the same laboratory she had worked in before. This one was on Earth, in the Human Commonwealth Medical Research Center. Around her, scientists from dozens of species worked together on new medicines and treatments. The cure for Rigel fever had been found 6 months ago. Now they were working on even harder problems. Dr. Zinara called her human colleague, Dr. Nam Seung-ho. "The test results are back. The new treatment is working." Zinara looked at the data. They had found a cure for Centauri wasting disease, a condition that had killed millions over the centuries. The cure had been developed by a team that included humans, Rigelians, Centaurians, and herself. "How long until we can distribute it?" she asked. 6 months, Dr. Nam said. "But the Commonwealth Assembly has already approved free distribution to all affected worlds." Zinara smiled. Under the old council, new medicines were expensive and slow to distribute. The council saw medical research as a way to control other species. The Commonwealth saw it as a way to help them. Former High Magistrate Quinara was teaching at the Commonwealth Academy on Luna Station. She had been one of the last council leaders to join the Commonwealth, but she had finally accepted that the old ways were dead. Her students were young beings from across the galaxy, learning about history and government. Today's lesson was about the fall of the Galactic Council. "Who can tell me why the council failed?" she asked. A young human named Park Da-un raised her hand. "Because they forgot that government should serve the people, not rule them." "Good," Quinara said. "And what was their biggest mistake?" A Rigelian student answered. "They thought age meant wisdom. They thought being old made them better than everyone else." Quinara nodded. "Yes, they confused experience with superiority. They forgot that every species has something valuable to offer." An Andromedan student asked, "Teacher, were you part of the old council?" Quinara was quiet for a moment. "Yes," she said finally. "I was, and I was part of the problem." "But you changed," the human student said. "You learned." "Yes," Quinara said. "That is the most important lesson of all. It is never too late to admit you were wrong. It is never too late to choose a better path." The Commonwealth continued to grow. Every month more species joined. Some came because they needed help. Others came because they wanted to be part of something better. The old Galactic Council still existed, but it was small now. Only a few hundred species remained, mostly those too proud or too afraid to change. They struggled in their isolated corner of the galaxy while the Commonwealth thrived. Chancellor Zixtal, now Commonwealth Representative Zixtal, often visited these holdout worlds. He tried to convince them to join, not as conquerors but as a friend who had learned from his mistakes. "You do not have to surrender," he would tell them. "You just have to let go of the idea that you are better than everyone else." Some listened, others did not. But every month a few more worlds chose hope over pride. On Earth, Kim Tae-ho was working in his garden again. But now it was not just his garden. It was a community garden where humans and aliens worked together, growing food and flowers from dozens of worlds. His former deputy, Yoon Ji-hee, found him there. She was now Commonwealth Secretary of Interspecies Relations. "Sir," she said, "we have received a message from the Outer Rim. They have discovered a new cluster of civilizations. 73 species we have never encountered before." Kim Tae-ho smiled as he watered a plant with blue flowers from Rigel Prime. "What do they want?" "To learn about us," Yoon Ji-hee said. "They have heard about the Commonwealth. They want to know if the stories are true." "What stories?" "That there is a place in the galaxy where all species are treated equally, where newcomers are welcomed instead of looked down upon, where age and power matter less than wisdom and kindness." Kim Tae-ho stood up and brushed dirt from his hands. "And what did you tell them?" "I told them the stories are true," Yoon Ji-hee said. "And I invited them to see for themselves." Kim Tae-ho nodded. "Good. There is always room for more." The galaxy had changed. What had once been ruled by fear and hierarchy was now guided by hope and cooperation. Species that had never spoken to each other now worked together on great projects. Worlds that had been isolated were now connected. The humans who had been called children, who had been told to know their place, had shown the galaxy what true leadership looked like. They had not conquered anyone. They had not forced anyone to join them. They had simply built something better and invited everyone to be part of it. And in doing so, they had saved not just themselves, but the entire galaxy. In the great crystal hall of the Reformed Galactic Assembly, Representatives from over 1,000 species worked together to solve problems and build the future. At the center of it all, human Chancellor Kim Tae-ho guided them with quiet wisdom and endless patience. The old galaxy had been ruled by those who thought they were superior. The new galaxy was led by those who knew they were equal, and that made all the difference. Years later, when young beings across the galaxy learned about the Great Change, they would remember one simple lesson. True power comes not from being above others, but from lifting others up. The humans had known their place. All along, their place was wherever they were needed most, and the galaxy was finally ready to follow their example. 1 year after the humans left, the galaxy was begging. 3 alien ships approached Earth. They moved slowly, carefully, broadcasting peaceful intentions every few minutes. The ships were old and worn. Without human maintenance, even counsel. Vessels were breaking down. Inside the lead ship, Ambassador Kelthara of the Zendai people was nervous. Her species had always been neutral in galactic politics. They were known for being fair and honest. That was why the Council had chosen her to speak for them. "Are you sure about this?" asked High Legate Morden, the military representative. He was a large, gray creature with 6 arms. "The humans might refuse to even see us." "They will see us," said the 3rd member of their group, Sage Yelandra. She was the Council's chief historian, an ancient being who had lived for over 1,000 years. "The humans are not cruel. That was never their way." Kelthara looked out at Earth through the ship's window. The planet looked different than she remembered. Brighter, cleaner. New cities sparkled on the continents, and orbital stations hung in space like jewels. "Look at what they have built," she whispered. "In just 1 year." Sage Yelandra nodded sadly. "While we were falling apart, they were growing stronger. We should have seen this coming. How could we have seen it?" Morden asked. "They were just another species." "No," Yelandra said. "They were never just another species. I have been studying their history. They have something we lost long ago." "What?" Kelthara asked. "Hope," Yelandra said simply. The human defense fleet escorted the Council ships to Luna Station, a massive space station orbiting Earth's moon. The station was new, built in the past year with technology that made Council engineering look primitive. Ambassador Kelthara was amazed as they docked. The station was beautiful, with gardens visible through transparent walls. It was not just functional, it was art. "Welcome to Luna Station," said their guide, a young human woman named Shin Ye-rim. She was polite but formal. "The Human Council is waiting for you." As they walked through the station, the alien delegation saw things that made them stop and stare. Humans worked alongside robots that moved with impossible grace. Holographic displays showed information in 3 dimensions. Plants grew in impossible colors under artificial suns. "How did you advance so quickly?" Kelthara asked. Shin Ye-rim smiled. "When you are not wasting time on politics, you can focus on progress." The meeting room was simple but elegant. Large windows showed the Earth below, blue and white and beautiful. At a round table sat 5 humans. Kim Tae-ho had aged in the past year, but his eyes were still sharp. Next to him sat Admiral Park Soo-jin, now Supreme Admiral of all human forces. The other 3 were new faces to the alien delegation. "I am Prime Minister Ryu Jae-sung," said a middle-aged man with kind eyes. "I speak for all human worlds." "I am Chief Technology Officer Shin Ye-rim," said their guide. "I oversee human research and development." "And I am Defense Minister Song Mi-young," said a woman with gray hair. "I coordinate our security." Kim Tae-ho gestured to chairs across from them. "Please sit. We have much to discuss." Ambassador Kelthara sat down carefully. This was not what she had expected. The humans seemed calm, confident. They did not look like people who were angry. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us," she said. "The galaxy is in crisis. We need your help." "We know," Kim Tae-ho said. "We have been watching." High Legate Morden leaned forward. "Then you know that billions of people are suffering. Entire species are facing extinction. How can you just watch? Admiral Park Soo-jin spoke for the first time. The same way you watched when we asked for respect. The same way you watched when we warned you of the consequences. Morden's gray skin turned darker. That was different. You were being unreasonable. Were we? Prime Minister Ryu asked. We asked to be treated as equals. We asked for fair representation. We asked for respect. Was that unreasonable? Sage Ylandra raised one of her thin hands. No, she said quietly. It was not unreasonable. We were wrong. I have spent the past year studying what happened. We were fools. The room was quiet for a moment. What do you want from us? Kim Tae-ho asked. Come back, Kelthara said. Return to the galaxy, help us rebuild. We will give you anything you ask for. Anything? Chief Technology Officer Shin Ye-rim asked. Seats on the High Council, Kelthara said quickly. Control of your own territories. A voice in all major decisions. Kim Tae-ho was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a happy smile. You still do not understand, he said. Understand what? Kelthara asked. You are offering us a seat at your table, Kim Tae-ho said. But we are no longer interested in your table. Defense Minister Song Mi-young activated a holographic display. It showed a map of the galaxy. Large sections were marked in blue. 47 species have already joined the human commonwealth, she said. They chose to leave the council and join us instead. Kelthara stared at the map. Almost a quarter of the galaxy was now blue. They came to us, Prime Minister Ryu said. We did not ask them to leave the council. They came because they were tired of the old ways. What old ways? Morden demanded. Hierarchy, Admiral Park Soo-jin said. The idea that older species are better than younger ones. The idea that some people matter more than others. Sage Ylandra looked at the map. What are you offering them? Partnership, Kim Tae-ho said. Real partnership. They help us, we help them. No one species is in charge of everyone else. And it works? Kelthara asked. Shin Ye-rim smiled. See for yourself. The holographic display changed. Now it showed worlds in the human commonwealth. They were thriving. Cities grew, trade flowed, research advanced. It was everything the old council had promised but never delivered. How? Kelthara whispered. Because when you treat people with respect, Kim Tae-ho said, they work harder. When you give them hope, they build amazing things. When you trust them, they become trustworthy. High Legate Morden stood up angrily. This is impossible. You cannot just ignore thousands of years of galactic civilization. We are not ignoring it, Prime Minister Ryu said calmly. We are improving it. The meeting continued for hours. The council delegation offered everything they could think of. Territory, wealth, power, respect. But the humans were not interested. Finally, Kim Tae-ho stood up. We thank you for coming, he said. But you have misunderstood the situation. What do you mean? Kelthara asked. You think we want to rejoin your council? Kim Tae-ho said. You think we want to return to the old ways, but we do not. He walked to the window and looked out at Earth. The galaxy is changing, he said. It is becoming something new, something better. You can be part of that change or you can cling to the past. The choice is yours. What are you saying? Kelthara asked. Kim Tae-ho turned back to them. I am saying that we are not asking to rejoin your council. We are inviting you to join ours. The room was completely silent. Join yours? Morden said finally. The human commonwealth is open to all species, Prime Minister Ryu said. Even council species. Even the High Council itself. But we would have to give up our authority, Kelthara said. Yes, Admiral Park Soo-jin said. You would have to become equals instead of rulers. Sage Ylandra looked at her companions. And if we refuse? Kim Tae-ho shrugged. Then you refuse. We will not force you, but we will not help you either. The old galaxy is dying. If you want to die with it, that is your choice. The council delegation returned to their ship in silence. They had come hoping to convince the humans to save the galaxy. Instead, they had learned that the galaxy was already being saved. Just not by them. As their ship left Luna Station, Kelthera looked back at Earth one more time. "What do we tell the council?" Morden asked. "The truth," Sage Ylandra said. "That the age of council rule is over. A new age has begun." "And us?" Kelthara asked. "What happens to us?" Ylandra was quiet for a long moment. "We can join the future," she said finally, "or we can be left behind by it." Back on Luna Station, the human leaders watched the council ship disappear into space. "Do you think they will accept?" Shin Yerim asked. "Some will," Kim Tae-ho said. "Others will not. It does not matter. Change is coming whether they accept it or not." "And the species that are suffering?" Prime Minister Ryu asked. "Admiral Park." Sujin smiled. "We are already helping them, quietly. We have been sending food, medicine, and technical support to worlds in crisis. Not through the council, directly." Kim Tae-ho nodded. "We do not help because we want something in return. We help because it is right. That is what makes us different," Defense Minister Song said. "That is what makes us better." The galaxy was changing. The old order was dying, and a new one was being born. And at the heart of that change were the humans who had been called children, who had been told to know their place. Now they were teaching the galaxy what their place really was. 6 months after the humans left, the galaxy was dying. Chancellor Zixtal stood in his office looking out at the city below. Half the buildings were dark. The power grid was failing without human maintenance. His 4 hands shook as he read the daily reports. "How many worlds are in crisis now?" he asked his advisor, Mortex. 47 worlds have declared emergencies," Mortex said quietly. 15 more will join them this week." Zixtal closed his eyes. When the humans first left, he had been confident. The galaxy had survived for thousands of years before humans arrived. It would survive again. He had been wrong. "What about the defense grid?" he asked. Mortex looked uncomfortable. 6 more stations went offline yesterday. We have lost contact with the outer rim completely. The galactic defense grid protected hundreds of worlds from pirates and hostile forces. Human engineer Oh Seung-jin had designed most of it. Now it was failing piece by piece. And the food situation? "Getting worse," Mortex said. 3 species are facing complete starvation. The Rigelians have only 2 weeks of food left. Zixtal felt sick. The Rigelians were allies, good people. They had children, families, and they were going to starve because of his pride. On Rigel Prime, Farmer Jolvin was loading the last of his grain onto a transport ship. His crops were dead now, killed by the failing atmosphere processors, but he had saved what he could. "Where will this go?" asked his son, Pickfin. "To the refugee camps on Rigel Moon," Jolvin said sadly. "It will feed our people for maybe a week." Pickfin was young, only 15 years old. He had never known hunger before. "Why did the humans leave us, Father?" Jolvin looked at his son. How could he explain? How could he tell the boy that their leaders had been fools? "They did not leave us," he said finally. "We pushed them away." Dr. Zinara was working with a team of alien engineers, trying to fix the medical research equipment. They had been working for 2 months with no success. "This connection does not make sense," said Engineer Kolmar, pointing at a complex device. "Why would the humans design it this way?" "Because it works," Zinara said tiredly. "The humans always made things that worked." She had studied human medical research for years. The humans had a different way of thinking about problems. They did not just follow old rules. They found new ways. "But we cannot understand it," Kolmar said. "How can we fix something we do not understand?" Zinara had no answer. Without the human researchers, they were like children playing with toys. They could not understand. The communication network was almost completely broken now. Engineer Han Ji-woo received one last message from the galaxy. It was from a small colony called Haven's Rest. Please help us, the message said. Our children are sick. Our medical scanner is broken. We need someone who understands human technology, Han. Jiwoo stared at the message for a long time. Haven's Rest was a mixed colony with humans, Vorthax and Rigelians living together. The human families there had children too. But the message was 6 hours old because of the failing communication network. By the time any help could arrive, it might be too late. Han Jiwoo saved the message and walked away. There was nothing he could do. The council had made their choice. High Magistrate Quinara had not slept in 3 days. Reports kept coming in, from across the galaxy. Each one was worse than the last. The Centauri Federation was breaking apart. Without trade ships to move goods, the member worlds could not support each other. 3 worlds had already declared independence. The Andromedans had stopped mining completely. Their cargo ships were designed by humans and maintained by human technicians. Now the ships sat empty in space, too complex for anyone else to operate. The medical stations had closed most of their research programs. Diseases that had been controlled for years were coming back. People were dying. We have to do something, Quinara said to Chancellor Zixtal. The galaxy is falling apart. What can we do? Zixtal asked. The humans will not answer our messages. They will not help us. Then we have to make them help us, Quinara said. Zixtal looked at her. What do you mean? We have weapons, she said. We have armies. We can force them to return. Zixtal was quiet for a long moment. Then he shook his head. No, he said. That would be war, and we would lose. How can you be sure? Because, Zixtal said slowly, if the humans can build all the things we cannot understand, what kind of weapons do you think they have? Admiral Park Soo-jin was reading the same reports that were terrifying the council, but she was not terrified. She was sad. Admiral, said Colonel Baek Hyun-woo, we have detected council military ships moving toward the border of human space. Park, Soo-jin looked up. How many ships? 50 battle cruisers, Baek Hyun-woo said. They are moving slowly, but they are coming. Park Soo-jin was not worried. Human military technology had advanced quickly in the past 6 months. They had new weapons, new shields, new ships. The council fleet would not be a threat. But she was disappointed. Even now, facing the collapse of their civilization, the council chose threats over cooperation. Send a message to the council fleet, she said. Tell them they are welcome to observe our border, but if they cross it, we will defend ourselves. Should we mobilize our own fleet? Baek Hyun-woo asked. Park Soo-jin smiled. 1 ship should be enough. The council fleet reached the border of human space and stopped. Admiral Kekstar of the Vorthak Navy commanded the fleet. He had expected to find the humans hiding behind their planets, afraid of council power. Instead, he found 1 human ship waiting for them. It was unlike any ship he had ever seen. It was sleek and black with no visible weapons, but there was something about it that made him nervous. This is Admiral Kekstar of the Galactic Council Defense Fleet, he broadcast. You will surrender immediately and return to council space. The human ship did not respond for a long moment. Then a voice came over the communication system. It was calm and polite. This is Captain Lim Soo-young of the Terran defense ship Seoul, the voice said. You are in violation of human space. Please withdraw immediately. Admiral Kekstar laughed. 1 ship against 50? The humans had lost their minds. You are outnumbered 50 to 1, he said. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Admiral, Captain Lim said, you seem to be confused. We are not outnumbered, you are. Admiral Kekstar was about to respond when his weapons officer screamed, Sir, energy signatures, dozens of them, they are everywhere. Admiral Kekstar looked at his screens. Space around his fleet was suddenly full of human ships. They had appeared, from nowhere like ghosts. Stealth technology, he whispered, impossible. Not impossible, Captain Lim said over the communication system. Just beyond your understanding. You have 10 minutes to leave human space. After that, we will consider you hostile. Admiral Kekstar looked at his fleet. 50 ships against what looked like 100 human vessels. And these were not the same ships he remembered from before. These were new, advanced, dangerous. All ships, he said quietly. Withdraw. Full retreat. The Council fleet turned around and left. They did not fire a single shot. On Earth, Kim Tae-ho was still working in his garden when Yoon Ji-hai came to find him. Sir, she said, the Council fleet has withdrawn. They are requesting a meeting. Kim Tae-ho nodded. He had expected this. The Council was finally ready to talk. What kind of meeting? He asked. They want to discuss terms for human return to the galaxy, Yoon Ji-hee said. Kim Tae-ho smiled. No, they want to discuss terms for their survival. He stood up and brushed dirt from his hands. His peaceful retirement was over. It was time to teach the galaxy a lesson about respect. Schedule the meeting, he said, but not on their terms. They will come to us. The crisis had reached its peak. The galaxy was broken, divided, and dying. The proud Galactic Council, which had ruled for thousands of years, was begging for help from the species they had called children. And the humans, who had been pushed away and insulted, were the only ones who could save them. But salvation would come at a price. The old galaxy was gone forever. What would take its place was up to the humans now. 3 months had passed since Kim Tae-ho walked out of the Galactic Council Hall. At first, nothing seemed to change. The galaxy continued as it always had. Trade ships moved between stars. Messages traveled across space. Life went on. But Admiral Park Soo-jin knew better. She stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the last human transport ship leave Vega Station. The ship was full of human engineers, doctors, and technicians who had worked at the station for years. That's the last one, Admiral, said Captain Lee Dong-woo, her second in command. All human personnel have been evacuated from Council space. Park Soo-jin nodded. She was a tall woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. She had been in the human military for 25 years. She had never seen anything like this before. How many people did we bring home, she asked. 2,300,000, Lee Dong-woo said. From 1,200 different facilities across the galaxy. Park Soo-jin let out a long breath. 2 million humans. They had been scattered across the galaxy, keeping things running. Now they were all coming home. What about the trade ships? She asked. All recalled, Lee Dong-woo said. Captain Kang Ha-yeon is coordinating the withdrawal. She says it will take another month to get all our cargo ships back to human space. Park Soo-jin looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the galactics. Council was about to learn what it meant to lose human cooperation. On the planet Zirion, Trademaster Veltar of the Andromedan Mining Consortium was having a bad day. A very bad day? What do you mean the cargo ships are not coming? He asked his assistant, a small blue creature named Piptal. The human cargo ships, Master, Piptal said nervously. They all left yesterday. All of them. They said their contracts were ended. Veltar felt his stomach sink. The human cargo ships carried 90% of all rare minerals from Zirion to other worlds. Without them, the mining operation would shut down in weeks. Get me the shipping company, Veltar said. I will pay them more money. Piptal looked even more nervous. I tried, Master. They said they are not taking any new contracts. They said all human ships are going home. Veltar stared at his assistant. Going home? What did that mean? Dr. Zin-Ara had worked at the Central Medical Research Station for 30 years. She was one of the best doctors in the galaxy, but today she felt helpless. How many human researchers have left? She asked her computer. 87% of human medical staff have been recalled, the computer said in its calm voice. This includes all department heads, senior researchers, and technical specialists. Zin-Ara looked around her empty laboratory. Just last week, it had been full of humans working on new medicines. They had been close to finding a cure for Rigel fever, a disease that killed thousands every year. Now the lab was empty. The research was stopped. The cure would have to wait. Computer, she said, can we continue the research without the human team? Negative, the computer said. The research requires specialized equipment designed by human engineers. Current, Staff does not have the necessary knowledge to operate this equipment. Zinara sat down heavily in her chair. Without the humans, they could not even use their own machines. On the planet Kepler-7, Farmer Jolvin was looking at his crops. They were dying. The special nutrients that kept them healthy had not arrived this month, or last month. "Where is the supply ship?" he asked his neighbor Morketh. "There is no supply ship," Morketh said sadly. "The humans ran the food distribution network. They are gone now." Jolvin felt panic in his chest. His crops fed millions of people across 3 star systems. Without the human supply network, the food could not reach them. "What are we supposed to do?" he asked. Morketh shook his head. "I do not know. I do not think anyone knows." Back on Earth, Kim Tae-ho was working in his garden. It was a small garden behind his house with tomatoes and flowers. It was peaceful here. Quiet. His assistant, Yoon Ji-hee, found him there. She had been his deputy at the Galactic Council for 10 years. "Sir," she said, "we are getting messages from across the galaxy. Many messages." Kim Tae-ho continued watering his plants. "What kind of messages?" "Request for help," Yoon Ji-hee said. "The Andromedans cannot move their minerals. The medical stations cannot continue their research. Food distribution networks are failing." Kim Tae-ho nodded. "I expected this." "The council is saying it is temporary," Yoon Ji-hee said. "They say they will adapt." Kim Tae-ho smiled. "They will try." Chancellor Zixtal was not smiling. He was sitting in his office looking at reports from across the galaxy. Bad reports. Very bad reports. "How bad is it?" he asked his advisor, Mortex. 18 worlds have declared food emergencies, Mortex said. 7 major trade routes have shut down completely. The medical research program has stopped on 12 stations. Zixtal felt a headache coming. "This is temporary. We will find new solutions." "Sir," Mortex said carefully, "our engineers have looked at the human systems. They are very complex. It might take years to replace them." "Years?" Zixtal stood up quickly. "We do not have years," Mortex nodded. "That is the problem, sir. The quantum communication network was failing. Engineer Han Ji-woo had designed most of it during his 15 years working for the council. Now he was back on Earth, and the network was breaking down without him. Messages that used to travel across the galaxy in minutes now took hours. Sometimes they did not arrive at all. The galaxy was becoming quiet. Too quiet. Han Ji-woo received a call from his replacement, a Vorthak engineer named Gixtel. "Please," Gixtel said. "I need help. The quantum relays are failing, and I do not understand how to fix them." Han Ji-woo looked at the screen. Gixtel looked desperate. "I am sorry," Han Ji-woo said. "I no longer work for the council." "But people need to communicate," Gixtel said. "The network is vital." Han Ji-woo nodded. "Yes, it is vital. That is why you should have treated us better." He ended the call. On the mining world of Rigel Prime, the terraforming machines had stopped working. Chief Engineer Choi Min-ho had built those machines. Without him, no one knew how to fix them. The atmosphere processor was failing. In 6 months, the air would become poisonous. 50,000 miners would have to evacuate. Manager Kelvar sent message after message to Earth, begging for help. The messages went unanswered. High Magistrate Quinara called an emergency session of the High Council. Representatives from across the galaxy attended, but many had to use old, slow communication methods because the quantum network was failing. "The situation is becoming serious," she said. "We need solutions." "What solutions?" asked Representative Kildar of the Centauri Federation. "Our worlds are running out of food. Our people are getting sick. Our machines are breaking down." "We can hire new engineers," Quinara said. "We can build new ships." "With what?" Kildar asked. "The humans controlled the manufacturing. They controlled the resources. They controlled everything, and we never noticed." Chancellor Zixtal banged his hand on the table. "They cannot do this to us. We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled for thousands of years. And now we are falling apart in months, said Representative Yilmar quietly. What does that tell us? The room became quiet. Very quiet. Admiral Park Soo-jin stood in the command center on Earth, watching reports come in from across the galaxy. Her staff worked quietly around her, monitoring the situation. Admiral, said Colonel Baek Hyun-woo, we are receiving thousands of requests for help, medical emergencies, supply shortages, system failures. Park Soo-jin nodded. Any official requests? From the council? No, ma'am, Baek Hyun-woo said. Only individual worlds and companies. Park Soo-jin was not surprised. The council was too proud to ask for help. Not yet. What about our own people? She asked. All human colonies are secure, Baek Hyun-woo said. Our supply lines are intact. Our systems are running normally. Park Soo-jin smiled. Humanity had learned to be self-sufficient long ago. They had never depended on the council for anything important. Keep monitoring, she said. This is just the beginning. By the end of the third month, the galaxy was in crisis. What had started as small problems had grown into big ones. Supply chains were broken. Communication networks were failing. Critical systems were shutting down. And in human space, life continued peacefully. Human worlds had everything they needed. Human technology continued to advance. Human people went about their lives without worry. The Galactic Council had wanted to see what happened when humans knew their place. Now they were finding out. The galaxy was learning that humans had not been junior partners. They had been the foundation that held everything together. And now that foundation was gone. The great crystal hall of the Galactic Council was quiet. Too quiet. Ambassador Kim Tae-ho walked slowly across the smooth floor, his black shoes making soft clicks with each step. Above him, the dome stretched high into space, showing stars and distant planets through clear crystal walls. Kim Tae-ho had walked this path many times before. For 15 years he had come to this hall to speak for Earth and all human worlds. Today would be his last time. The human section sat empty behind him. No other humans would witness what was about to happen. Kim Tae-ho had made sure of that. What he was going to say would change everything, and he wanted to say it alone. Around the hall, representatives from 847 different species watched him. Some floated in water tanks. Others breathed different gases in sealed pods. A few looked almost human, but most were very different. Big ones, small ones, ones with many arms, ones with no arms at all. At the center of the hall sat the High Council. Chancellor Zixtal of the Vorthak Empire was there, his gray skin shining under the lights. His 4 eyes watched Kim Tae-ho with what looked like boredom. Next to him sat High Magistrate Quinara of the Etherians. She was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to glow. Both of them were old, very old. Their species had been part of the Galactic Council for thousands of years. Kim Tae-ho stopped at the speaking platform. He placed his hands on the smooth surface and looked up at the High Council. I request permission to address the Council, he said in a clear, calm voice. Chancellor Zixtal made a sound that might have been a laugh. The human wishes to speak again? Have you come to apologize for your rude behavior yesterday? Kim Tae-ho did not change his expression. Yesterday he had tried to stop the Council from taking away human colonies. The Council had voted to give human-discovered star systems to older species. They said humans were too young to manage such important places. I have not come to apologize, Kim Tae-ho said. High Magistrate Quinara leaned forward. Her voice was like music, but cold music. Then why are you here, little human? We have important business to discuss. Business that does not concern your young species. Kim Tae-ho reached into his jacket and pulled out a small data pad. He held it up so everyone could see. I am here to deliver a message from the Terran Federation and all human colonies. He said. After yesterday's vote, our government has made a decision. Chancellor Zixtal waved one of his 4 hands. Yes, you are upset, we understand. But you must learn your place in the galaxy. Your species is only 300 years old in space. We have been here for thousands of years. We know what is best. You do not know what is best, Kim Tae-ho said quietly. The hall became very quiet. No one spoke to the High Council like that. Ever. High Magistrate Quenara stood up. She was very tall, much taller than Kim Tae-ho. How dare you speak to us in such a way? We have guided this galaxy since before your world had discovered fire. You will show respect, or you will be removed from this hall. Kim Tae-ho looked around the hall. He saw the faces of hundreds of alien species. Some looked angry, some looked surprised, some looked afraid. They all waited to see what would happen next. For 15 years I have come to this hall, Kim Tae-ho said. For 15 years I have asked for respect. Not special treatment, just respect. The same respect you give to each other. He activated his data pad. Words appeared in the air above. The platform written in the common galactic language that all species could read. For 15 years you have called us children. You have called us too young. You have told us we do not understand the galaxy. But we have never asked you to take care of us. We have only asked you to treat us fairly. Chancellor Zixtal made an angry sound. Fairly? You have been given more than you deserve. When you first came to this galaxy, you had nothing. We gave you technology. We gave you knowledge. We gave you a place in our council. And this is how you repay us? Kim Tae-ho shook his head. You gave us nothing. We earned everything we have. We built our own ships, we found our own worlds, we created our own trade routes, we asked only to be your partners, not your children. The words floating above the platform changed. Now they showed numbers. Big numbers. 60% of all trade in this galaxy moves on human ships, Kim Tae-ho said. 70% of all long-distance communication uses human relay stations. 80% of all new medical discoveries in the last 50 years came from human research. High Magistrate Quenara looked at the numbers. Her glowing skin seemed to dim a little. Those numbers mean nothing. We survived for thousands of years without humans. We can do so again. Kim Tae-ho nodded. Yes, you can. And now you will have to. He pressed another button on his data pad. New words appeared in the air. These words were different. They were written in formal language, the kind used for official documents. By order of the Terran Federation Council and the governments of all human worlds, humanity officially withdraws from the Galactic Council, Kim Tae-ho read. All human personnel will be recalled from Council facilities within 30 days. All human ships will be removed from Council space. All human trade agreements with the Council are ended immediately. The hall exploded with noise. Aliens began talking, shouting, making sounds that Kim Tae-ho could not understand. Some seemed angry, some seemed afraid, some seemed confused. Chancellor Zixtal stood up. His 4 eyes were now very bright, which meant he was very angry. You cannot do this. You cannot simply leave. We can, Kim Tae-ho said. And we are. High Magistrate Quenara raised her hand, and the hall became quiet again. This is madness, she said. You think you can survive alone? You need us. You need the Council. Kim Tae-ho looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was a sad smile. No, he said. You need us. You just do not know it yet. He picked up his data pad and walked toward the exit. Behind him, the aliens began talking again, louder this time. Wait, Chancellor Zixtal called. You cannot just walk away. We can discuss this. We can find a solution. Kim Tae-ho stopped at the great doors of the hall. He turned around one last time. The High Council looked different now. They looked worried. For 15 years I have tried to discuss things with you, he said. For 15 years, I have tried to find solutions. You were not interested then. You told me to know my place among my betters. He paused and looked around the hall one more time. You wanted to see what happens when humans know their place, he said. You are about to find out. Kim Tae-ho walked through the great doors. They closed behind him with a soft sound. He would never walk through them again. In the hall, 847 species sat in silence. For the first time in thousands of years, they did not know what would happen next. The age of human partnership with the Galactic Council was over. What would come next, none of them could imagine. But they would learn soon enough.